It's wonderful to meet you all in Zoom land here. I'll put it that way. My background is that I have been in social media since 2009. I was hired by the BRC to provide confidential counseling to folks. Hang on, slides aren't moving. There we go. Okay. Um, and it was based on a number of different things, including the fact that I've been writing social media for businesses since 2009. Most of my experience is from Arizona, but it transfers very nicely up here to Oregon. We get a lot more rain up here in Oregon, so hence the raindrops on the presentation slides. Anyway, in 2.5 years for a company in Sedona, Arizona, I built the Facebook page from 0 to over 9,500 likes. Never bought a like, never bought an ad. And so it's those skills in writing vibrant content that gets Google's positive attention that I'm going to be teaching you here today. Unfortunately, in the world today, a lot of people think of social media as nothing more than snake oil. If you go back in the history of this country, in the Wild West, there were people who sold snake oil. It was supposed to cure everything from hangnails to who knows what all. Of course, it did none of the above. Unfortunately, there are people who get into social media and promise companies the sun, moon, and stars. They don't even deliver a gold star that you would put on a child's paper to show them that they had done a good job. So my job here today is to teach you about social media, to give you enough information so that you can start writing your own social media, or if you do hire somebody as a consultant or an employee, you can at least monitor what they're doing intelligently and know if you're getting your money's worth from this individual. Put it that way. The entire goal in social media is to become Wilson. If you remember the show Home Improvement, Tim Taylor would go to his backyard fence and talk to Wilson about everything, life, work, kids, and Wilson always came up with a great answer. The situation was that we didn't see, because it happened years before the show started. In Tim's conversations with Wilson, he was able to understand that Wilson was an authority to whom Tim could go and get the information he needed. Our goal is to make you Wilson for any of your customers or potential clients. So who is that neighbor that you're trying to help in your business? Well, let's do a little play here for a minute. Let's just say, as a for instance, that I actually refurbish classical travel trailers, the ones from the 50s and 60s. I upgrade them with a microwave, a big screen TV, all the comforts of home, but it's on wheels. Yay, team. So based on my sales, I know that my key customer is a baby boomer who has retired or will soon retire. This means that they were probably born somewhere between 1945 and 1956. So the very first thing I want to do is identify who my key customers are and then be able to write my content to them. Here's the next step. There we go. I need to develop a customer profile and write content directly to these particular clients. Now, this slide may not show up as well as I was hoping it would, but I'll explain what that image is over there on the right. I'm going to arbitrarily select 1952 as the birth year for my key clients. Granted, my key clients could have been born as late as 1945 or as early as 1956, but I'm just going to throw a dart at the board and say my key client is 52, was born in 52. So what I did was that I went over to Google and I looked up the most popular baby names for 1952, and that's what that image is. It's the most popular boys' names, most popular girls' names. From that list, being me, and I'm in control here, I picked Barbara and I picked Mark. Now, I'm going to look for photos for people about that age. All right. I went to a website called Pexels. It's PEXELS.com. They actually have free images that you can use when you're putting a presentation together. These are free from copyright infringement, which is why I love them to death. This lady is older than the person that I am trying to reach out to, but she gives me an idea of what I'm doing. So I arbitrarily picked a picture and I said, that's my Barbara. So that then made up a backstory for Barbara so that when I'm writing content, I can be thinking about what it is she might want to do. So in my case, Barbara is a retired paralegal with disposable income and the ability to buy one of my travel trailers, who loves to educate and spoil her grandchildren. Since she wants to take them to explore America on their next vacations, she is my target customer. Okay, I picked a picture of Mark Harmon. It's my presentation. I can do anything I want. Mark Harmon was born in 1952. So if I use his picture as an example of the men to whom I'm going to write, that just gives me a feeling of what it is I want to do. But I'm going to invent a different backstory for him. Obviously, I could use his NCIS profile, but I don't want to do that. So Mark has now become a retired engineer who is married and wants to visit parks, national parks, state parks, local parks, with his beloved wife. What I'm going to do is I'm going to print out Mark's picture and Barbara's picture and actually scotch tape them on the side of my monitor or up on my bulletin board. That way I've got these images in my head of the people I'm going to be writing to. When I write, I'm going to be asking myself a couple of different questions. What do Mark and Barbara want to know? For Barbara, I'll find activities that she can do with her grandkids. Most of our national parks do have junior ranger programs and other things where there are classes during the week at various times. So she could plan her travel to get to a particular park for a particular class with the grandkids if she knows about them. That's where I come in. I'm going to let her know about these different programs. I want her to be armed with the information she needs so that whichever park she goes to with the grandkids, she's got wonderful background information. She can be their teacher, their guide, their Mimi or their Mimai, who's helping them to learn about the world. There are 15 other grandmother nicknames I could have used, but I picked those two. Anyway, so what does Mark want to know? Why would Mark want to buy one of my trailers? Well, he might want to go investigate California history. The San Pasqual Park is where the last battle for excuse me, where the last battle for California independence was fought about 150 years ago. Actually, a little bit longer than that. Sorry, I did the math wrong. For each client, I want to be able to present content that allows me to be their authority. So what does Barbara want to know? She might want to know about these programs that actually exist. And so I could write content that could be a blog post, it could be a Facebook note, could be a LinkedIn update. So when I say content, I also will use the word article as a synonym for a piece of content that has 300 words or more, wherever I post the darn thing. So Barbara might want to know about these different programs that would help her educate her grandchildren. And those last two, by the way, are very interesting tours conducted by folks of those particular national parks. So those are kind of wonderful ways to learn about the parks before you ever get there. For Barbara, I could write content with these titles. Now on the blog, I want to have a calm and professional voice. And on Facebook, a little bit more energetic. By the way, I'm going to go through this in greater detail a little bit further down. So don't worry if this doesn't quite make sense yet, but it will. So for my blog, I might write an article that has the title of The Best National Parks to Take the Grandkids, or Discover Your Cultural Heritage at Your National Parks. When I change that title for Facebook, I'm going to make it a little bit more in the vernacular using pop language. I'm also going to make it a little bit more energetic. So 20 cool national parks to take your grandkids, or how you can share your cultural heritage with your grandkids. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what I might be producing for her. What does Mark want to know? Where can he and his wife go with their travel trailer? The one, of course, they purchased for me. Ta-da! So, since he's an engineer, he might want to look at parks that have absolutely gorgeous geological formations that he as an engineer would deeply appreciate. So he might want to go to Zion, Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, or Crater Lake. These are just some examples of parks that I might write about for him. Now, I'm just going to say something. I am never in the content going to say, Barbara, this article's for you, because nobody knows who Barbara is, and certainly nobody knows who Mark is when I'm writing. So I'm going to be writing to a general audience and saying, when you want to take your grandkids to a national park and share with them the beauty of the United States, here's one park you might want to visit. So don't worry, the Mark and the Barbara are just for me. They're not for the audience. For Mark, if I'm talking about my blog and Facebook, on the blog where I'm going to have a calm and professional voice, I might have a title like Meet the Nation's First Engineer at Your National Parks. Now, for those of you who are wondering who that first engineer was, that's actually George Washington. He was the designer of one of the very first aqueducts in this country, and it actually is mentioned in these other articles that I'm talking about. So it was an engineering marvel to be able to get boats from one area of the country to another. So those are some of the ideas that I might be working with to give my engineering guys some reasons to get out on the road with their travel trailer. Some of you might recognize Cartman. He's from South Park. And you'll see at the end of the presentation that I've actually given a citation where I got the picture. Cartman does have the right idea, but he's not going about it the right way. Cartman wants to be an authority, but he's doing it through force. You can't do that on social media. You can, however, become an authority by presenting content which educates those folks who are reading your content so that they know more about your business, whether it's how to make the best kind of aircraft landing gears, or what to know about a rescue kitten that can help you understand their behavior as they decide to gnaw on your finger when they're trying to teeth. Things of this nature that allow your audience to know that you know your subject and you're willing to share your information. So let's figure out what you should write about. Number one, you need to base your content around your keywords, and I am going to show you how to find those. And these should be your actual keywords, not what you think your keywords are. I had one client who thought she should write about pain relief over and over and over again. When we started doing research for her particular field, I realized that the key word that she really needed to focus on was aging well, not pain relief. Yes, use pain relief every once in a while, alleviate pain, pain relief, pain relieving, but focus on aging well and how she could help people age well. All right. Working together, we came up with some wonderful topics that she could write about. So under Aging Well, she could write articles for her blog, for Facebook, LinkedIn, on staying active, staying connected to your community. You are what you eat. It was all about nutrition and improving your circulation. There's so many problems that come up health-wise when the circulation lags. So she was giving different content about how you could improve your circulation and hold at bay, I'll put it that way, those medical conditions. She also works with athletes on helping them recover from injuries. And the same information that she has uncovered for athletes can work for anybody, whether you're recovering from a sprained ankle that you got in the garden last weekend or possibly something having to do with a car accident. There are ways to help you recover faster. So she's going to be writing articles about athletes and their secret weapons for recovering faster, recovering from accidents and injury, and recovering after surgery. So we now have a series of topics she can write about and then go into specific content under each one of those. If you're not sure what you should be writing about, you can ask me, you can ask Emma, and you can certainly ask any of our consultants with the BRC who are there as subject matter experts. So we can help you design a list of topics that you can be writing about so that you have your keywords and your topic areas. It just gets you launched a little bit faster. All right. A life skill you learned in first grade is actually key to your success in social media. Most of us were given the dreaded spelling list on Monday morning, and usually by Tuesday or Wednesday, we had to turn in a list of sentences made with those words. If you had Mrs. Chapman, you got extra credit if you could use all of those words in one paragraph that actually linked together. So that was always my goal. Anyway, Google gives you this spelling list. These are your keywords, and these are the words that you need to put into your content. Google, because it tracks these things, knows what people have already searched for in relationship to the topic that you're going to talk about. So if we go back to the client who had pain relief as her subject, Google was able to tell us that aging well was something that people looked up a lot. So they looked up aging well and exercise, aging well and accident recovery, aging well and improving circulation. So we were able to build for her a keyword list. And those are the keywords that are going to go into her content when she's writing about her subjects. And now for the fun part. To understand how you need to write social media content, we may actually have to go back to the days of Rocky and Bullwinkle. They had a little cartoon that was part of Rocky and Bullwinkle, Mr. Peabody and Sherman, who would take trips back in time in the Wayback Machine. Now, in the last few years, there has been an animated movie made about these two characters that's very cute as well. So we're going to pretend that we're going back in the Wayback Machine to the beginning of the internet. In the beginning, wait, not that far back, but in the beginning of the internet, Google was created, obviously, by engineers. Engineers tend to think in small bits of information. If you're an English major, you tend to label those small bits of information as nouns. It's a person, it's a place, it's a thing. as opposed to a verb, which is an action. So when Google first started, it was a noun-based search engine. You could look for yellow roses, tall trees, tallest waterfall, and Google could find you answers. It was a happy camper. But along came a search engine by the name of Ask Jeeves. Ask Jeeves was the tuxedo-wearing butler. This was the very first natural language search engine. So you could actually ask Jeeves an entire question. When can I sit for the CPA exam? Where can I find a garden of yellow roses? And Ask Jeeves would give you the answer. You didn't have to shorten it down to garden yellow roses to find your answer. You could talk to it like you would to a friend. Google realized that it was not in a good position because Ask Jeeves was getting quite a bit of activity and cutting into Google's market share. So Google essentially realized that Ask Jeeves was about to take its proverbial lunch money. So Google developed its own natural language search engine where you can ask questions. On Google now, there are two search engines that run parallel to each other. One is a noun-based search engine, the other is natural language. So you can find information either way. How does Google find the content that you and I put up? And we might be putting this up on our blog, we might be putting it up on Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. Google sends out a herd of robots, spiders, and web crawlers, which are constantly looking for keywords that you have placed in your content on your website and in your social media. If these robots, spiders, web crawlers find content that has keywords in it and is more than 300 words in length, then they will actually index that content. And what that means is it allows someone else to come along and find your content. If your content is less than 300 words, Google has the option not to index it, which means nobody can find it unless they know who you are and go directly to your page. So it behooves you, it benefits you to get up to that 300 word limit every single time. Don't worry, I'll teach you how to do that. So what does Google need to find your content? It has, as I said before, two different search engines. One looking for nouns, those are short tail keywords, and one is a natural language search engine. That's looking for questions, it's looking for statements that people would use in conversation to find information. So, if I'm going to talk about short tail keywords, just to give you some examples, we could go with short-tailed cat. There's one right there. Equine therapy, trendy hairstyles, music lessons, and life coaching. All of those are short-tailed keywords that we already know Google is looking for. Long-tailed keywords. Remember that natural language search engine? Well, here's a lemur to remind you about a long-tail keyword. So a long-tail keyword, again, can be a complete question or a statement. When can I sit for the CPA exam? 5 ways to save money on your wedding flowers. So these are all questions or statements that could be the title of the article, or they could be in that first paragraph. Either way, whichever way you want to write. This is always a good question. Where can you find free keywords for your business? Well, here are 10 different websites that offer free keywords. My personal favorite right now happens to be Keyword Sheeter. It's the second one here on the list. You can go to that. There's a big open box and you put your term in there, whatever it is. It could be music lessons, physical therapy, chiropractic care, whatever your keyword is, and hit search. it will actually come up with a huge list of terms that people have already looked for in connection to what you're doing. You can then copy these words and drop them into an Excel spreadsheet so that you don't have to look them up every morning. It also allows you to track which keywords you're using, and we will get to that. But any of these tools make it a lot of fun to find those keywords for free. You do not have to pay for them. You can ask Google. This is probably one of the quickest ways to do it. So if I'm looking for keywords for a coffee shop, as a for instance, this is actually a screenshot of what I actually did. So when I put in the words coffee shop, Google automatically shows me the terms that people are looking for, and these are just some of them. So I can copy these as well and put them into my Excel spreadsheet. Now that you've found your keywords, let's put them into an Excel spreadsheet. Now this is actually a screen capture of just a small part of the keyword list that I created for the client who was interested in pain relief and the aging well topics. So when we got to improve your circulation, Keyword Sheeter came up with all of these different keywords that she could put into her content. And I will show you how to use this. But right now, I just want you to put them in an Excel spreadsheet so that you can hang on to them. How many keywords do you need per article? And an article, again, is a piece of content that is 300 words or more. It could be posted on your website as a landing page, a web page, or a blog post. It could be posted off-site in social media, meaning on Facebook, as a LinkedIn update, or as an Instagram story, just as a for instance. There are other social media platforms as well. I'll touch on them a little bit later. But anyway, you need 2 to 3 short tail. Those are those noun or noun clusters, keywords, or 1 long-tailed keyword, and that would be a question or a statement for which people look. So long as you get at least that amount in there, you're fine. If it makes sense to put in a few more short-tailed keywords, as a for instance, you certainly are welcome to do so. But don't strain the limits of credibility of your readers by stuffing in words that don't make sense to the content of the article. I do edit social media, so if you ever have a question, please let me know. I'm happy to edit. So how do you start writing? Well, I want you to look at that keywords list that we just created for you. And then you might want to look at it from a different angle, and that is to answer a question that your readers have asked you. I wrote for a company that helped accountants pass the Certified Public Accounting exam. So questions came up. Where can I sit for the CPA exam? When can I sit for the CPA exam? What are the requirements to sit for the CPA exam? What are the pass rates? So I often use those questions that were frequently asked as the titles of different pieces of content. If I'm using short-tailed keywords, my goal is to find a connection between 2 of those words so that I can build the article around it. Like a homing pigeon, I'm going to go back to CPA Excel for a minute. So let's say the keywords I want to write about are CPA exam pass rates and CPA exam study tools. In my very first paragraph, I might say something like, with the best CPA exam study tools for you, you improve your chances, you can improve your CPA exam pass rate. And then that way I've gotten both of those keywords into that first paragraph, and I can write on from there. All right. When you're writing social media, you're actually going to have 2 different voices. When you're writing for your blog, which should be part of your website, should be one of the buttons on your opening header there. Or when you're writing for LinkedIn, you want to write in a very calm and professional voice. You want to really channel this Great Dane here and kind of think, how would the Great Dane say it? So your articles that you're putting up, your content for those three channels, website, blog, and LinkedIn, are all going to be very calm, very professional, giving an air of sharing where you as the expert are helping somebody to learn as much as you do. And then there's your other voice. When you're writing for Facebook, Instagram stories, and Twitter, you do want a happier, more exuberant voice when you write. This basset hound, obviously, gives us a little bit more on the happiness. All right, so just to compare what your titles might look like, depending upon what you're writing about. If you're writing for the blog, how to save money on your wedding flowers. If you're writing for Facebook, 5 insanely smart ways to save money on your wedding flowers. Can you see the difference between those two? Obviously, in this case, I'm talking about a florist who potentially is trying to get some more wedding business. Okay. Where can I sit for the CPA exam? For LinkedIn, or excuse me, for Facebook, I might change that title to The Secret to Finding the Best Place to Sit for the CPA Exam. This would be a location that I'm talking about, not necessarily the best chair in the room. One of the tricks that I'm going to teach you is how to repurpose your content. I know you might have thought I wanted you to write 2 separate articles. I don't. I actually don't. I want you to write that blog post first, change the title to something more exuberant for Facebook, change that first paragraph. Now, why am I doing that? If you think about anything you've done a Google search for, you know that the title of the content piece comes up, and you know that the first 2 or 3 sentences come up as well when you're doing a Google search. So if you're looking for information about basset hounds, you're going to see one article after another. If you have changed the title from your blog post to Facebook and you've changed that first paragraph, Google thinks you wrote 2 articles about basset hounds instead of 1. They'll index both of those articles, and you then look like more of an expert to the world because you've written a lot of content. Cool. You've also saved yourself a whole lot of time. Google does have rules. If you follow these rules, you're going to be successful. And I will let you know Google does change the rules. So we just have to keep up on them and make sure that we're abiding by the most recent version. Right now, Google asks that you have 300 words or more in each blog post, Facebook note, LinkedIn update. The reason is that Google demanded that 300 word limit was that they discovered most people would much rather write 80 words, something short. And so to be able to eliminate certain businesses from getting onto Google's page 1, Google said, if you don't give me 300 words, you're not getting on page 1. Suddenly, Google had fewer pages from which to pick to get on page 1 for that particular topic. So it made Google's life easier. Same thing with this next one. You need to write in at least 8th grade English. A few years ago, that was actually 12th grade English. What Google discovered was that Masterpiece Theater was the only organization that could write at that 12th grade level on a regular basis. The language was so different from the way that most of us talk that those websites that complied with the 12th grade English often lost readers because they were writing over their heads. So Google lowered that to 8th grade. Now, what does that mean? It means you can't split infinitives. It means you can't dangle a preposition at the end of a sentence. So there are a number of different rules from 8th grade English. If you ever have a question, get in contact with me. Happy to go through it. So the other regulation, of course, is that you do need to include at least 2 short tail keywords or 1 long tail keyword. So long as you follow these rules, you have a good chance of getting onto page 1. How much do you need to write? I understand you might feel like the woman in this image right here. You need to post new content on your website, which could be on your blog, could be a landing page, could be a web page, and on social media during any 1 week during the month. So, as a for instance, let's just say during the 2nd week of the month, you post a new blog post on Tuesday and a Facebook note on Thursday. Since those 2 were posted within 7 days of each other, you have just met Google's minimum requirement. Now, if you want to move up in your page ranking, if you're say on page 2 or page 3, and you want to get on to page 1, you may want to publish content in more weeks of the month, not just the 2nd week, but maybe the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th week. The more content you post, the more often during the week that you post, the quicker you're going to get to page 1. This is kind of an unfair question. I was hired as a full-time writer. I realize that most of you are running a small business and trying to write social media on the side. So I'm not saying that you need to come up to my level in any way whatsoever, but I get this question a lot, and I just want to show you what I was doing. I was a full-time writer. I wrote 2 Facebook notes a day. I put out about 8 tweets. I wrote 1 blog post. And in addition to that, during the day, I might be writing web pages, landing pages, sales e-blasts, white papers, press releases. So I was doing a lot of writing in between these other pieces that I was producing. Thank you. Thank you for joining me this morning. Do we have any questions that you would like to ask?
¿A quién le llamaste a mí?
Hello, my name is Miguel Barrios. I have a question.
Sure.
How often you recommend to refresh your content? It varies on depending of your how obsolete your information gets, because for some, let's say, a personal web page, you don't need that much of refreshment, but probably as a business you need a little bit more of refreshment more often. So what is I have said on my mind is to have it refreshed like once a year for my personal and maybe once a month for my business. Am I okay?
You're okay. That's a really good question. If you are adding a new blog post, a new web page, or a landing page to your website, that does update your website. What I would look to do about once a year is to look at all of the content. So your home page may need to be updated because you are offering new services or products that you didn't offer previously. The world around your particular business may have changed. So you may need to update your home pages and and other pages within the website at least once a year.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Does anybody else have another question? You're also welcome to type it on the chat box, or if you know how to use you could also raise your hand. I'll see you too. So this is a time for Q&A. Any question? No question is a bad question. All questions are welcome.
Absolutely. And if you have specific questions, what would I suggest you write about for a particular business, please feel free to ask. Each one of you has a set of knowledge about your particular topic, whatever it is, whether it's building a secure mailbox that is vandal proof, whether it's running a coffee shop with freshly roasted coffee beans. You have a body of knowledge that you can share. So for instance, if I go to the coffee shop as an example, I could write about where the different coffee beans come from and what the different rules and regulations are on how those coffee beans are named. So for instance, Kona coffee, so long as you have 10% of your beans are grown in Kona, one of the islands of Hawaii, you can say that it's Kona coffee. If you are blending beans and you're putting in 33% Kona beans, that means you're creating a superior product. That's something you should talk about in your social media. Educate people about how these particular beans were raised and why they are considered to be absolutely terrific. And then talk about the types of Kona coffee that you might have in your shop, be able to sell either as a drink over the counter to someone or as beans that somebody would take home and use on their own. But you've got knowledge you can share, and that's the knowledge you want to put into your social media and into your website.
Right.
By the way, interesting statistic, if you get somebody to like your Facebook page and subscribe to your blog, there's only a 1% chance they're going to buy from somebody else. So these are channels you need to be aware of. Sorry to interrupt. What was the question?
Oh, I was just I was just going to make a comment, Kathy, is that, it's about your business, is just telling a story about your business, because people are interested in what you have, and you do it in the form of a story, just like you mentioned. If you talk about your coffee, talk about some experience of customers, now you're engaging because people get to know you and like you, and then you can make an offer or do a special and those type of things. So
absolutely, very good point. One of the people from the Tualatin Chamber last week was asked to talk about his business during the meeting. When he gave his initial presentation, it was, I do this, this, and this. When somebody asked him what was his backstory, how did he get into this business, his face lit up. And he said, when I was in high school, I had a very low GPA. He was essentially shooed out of high school and went to a tech school to learn auto mechanics. He then discovered that he had a passion for making cars that didn't run, actually putter down the road and do it somewhat silently instead of, clanking like a brass band. He then decided that his call in life was to not only open a car repair garage, but also to give back to the community. So he takes in donated cars. His auto mechanic interns learn about cars. They fix the cars up, they do paint and body on them, and then they sell them at a very low price to people who are financially struggling. But his story lit up his face. It brought a smile to his face. And all of us said, you need to tell your story more often so that people can understand what animates you. You're absolutely correct, and that's a wonderful way to do it. I'm going to go to the sales point that you made. I normally suggest for people that they write 4 articles, 4 pieces of content that are informational, telling their story, telling about what somebody needs to know to keep their car running. And then the 5th article in that particular series is, I'm the best car repair shop to come to, or you are welcome to come to my car shop because I just educated you about the fact that even though you've got a brand new car, you don't have to take it to the dealership for service. You can bring it to me, and I'm your local repair guy. So that 4-to-1 ratio of 4 informational articles to 1 me-formational article, I'm the best place to buy what I just talked about, is usually a good way to build your Facebook following so that they don't feel you're trying to sell them every single article. Any other questions?
Hi, good morning.
Hi, Emma.
No, it's not Emma.
Oh, I'm sorry, you said. How can I help?
Okay, so I have a web page and I have a Facebook page, but I think my web page doesn't have that much visitors as my Facebook, and I think it's boring. And
It's okay. About 80% of the pages out there are boring, so don't worry. We can fix this.
okay, that's one thing. And the other thing is when I'm on Facebook, I don't know what ages to target because we are an Hispanic grocery store. So I don't know who to target, if men, women, children, I don't know.
Well, I have done this for a number of different companies where I have actually had a couple of different pairs of potential clients. So in your case with a grocery store, I might have a pair of pictures of 2 senior citizens, but I also might have a pair of pictures of a man and a woman who are, say, in their 40s or 50s, and then another pair of a man and a woman in their 30s. Then when I'm writing my content, I'm writing to all of these folks. What is it that they might want to know? So let's say, as a for instance, you have just invented a recipe for a particular tamale. And as you know, with the Central American tamales, they're usually wrapped in a banana leaf rather than in a corn husk. So maybe you just got a shipment of banana leaves in, or you're expecting a shipment of banana leaves, and you can post a recipe for a Central American tamale, which might have something different in it than would, say, a Mexican tamale, which might have cheese, chicken, beef. A Central American tamale might have raisins, guava, and go more towards the sweet side, or it might have turkey or rabbit in it. So look at your different recipes, look at the foods you've got on your shelves, excuse me, and see if you can create recipes that would encourage people to come in and say, oh, you're right, I need banana leaves, because they're going to make tamales. The holidays are coming up. By the way, just as an aside, as I mentioned, I spent 6 years in Arizona doing small business counseling. One of my clients is a Mexican restaurant in Flagstaff, Arizona. In Flagstaff in the winter, the students go home, business falls off a cliff because there are no tourists. So I worked with the owner of the restaurant, and we created a tamale fiesta for December. I wrote a press release for her. I created 6 different humorous flyers for her, and we passed those out at the local colleges and other locations in town. Long story short, she sold 300 tamales in 6 hours. So it was the single most successful day in the company's 3-year history. You can have lots of fun with promotions and writing about what you're doing. Okay, question?
I have one more question.
Sure.
When I on my Facebook page, I put all the promotions and everything, and I know that people are seeing the promotions on Facebook, and they go to the store, but they don't ask for those promotions. So do I have to make something different in the store, like flyers or something? Because I know that they see my post because they say, oh, I see that you put this on Facebook and that's why I came. But they don't ask for the discounts, they don't ask for the promotions, they are just watching the post, and I have no interactive with them.
Interesting. What I might suggest is some sort of an arrow, a display arrow that points at the promotional products. Maybe move them to an end cap where they're very visible when somebody comes into the store. But, you know, a sign that hangs up that says promotional item of the week or something of that nature, or as seen on our Facebook page, would get people's attention to that particular product. And then if there were other products that supported it, something you would cook with it, I'll put it that way. You might also display those near the promoted product and see if you could get some upselling going on.
I have a question for Norma.
Sure.
Norma, what you said that they don't purchase the promotional, but they still come in the store? I don't know if she heard me.
¿Es para mí?
Yeah, Norman, they don't purchase, but do they still come into the store because of the promotion and still buy something else?
The question was for Fabiola.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. I was going to make a comment in regards to Norma's situation.
Ma'am, are you still here?
I think she's still on, Kathy. I don't know if she hears us.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Kathy, I mean, I guess you and I can talk. Sure, what I was going to say. If the promotion is getting the people in the store and she's still selling things, you know, that's still a good promotion, even though they may not buy that specific item. So I think that's still a good thing.
You're right. You're absolutely right. That is a good thing that people are still coming in the door.
Right.
And if they're buying other products while they're there, great. You know, at least they're not sitting at home looking at Facebook and not walking into the store.
Right.
My hope is that you've learned some tips and tricks about writing content. The most important one is infuse what you're doing with joy. If you're not happy about what you're doing, that's going to come across in your writing. If you love that particular product that you put on promotion this week, and you can show a couple of different ways to use it or help somebody to understand the historical background of that product, then you have communicated your joy to other people. They will become your friends. They will trust you like Tim Taylor trusted Wilson. You become Wilson.
I have a comment. Kathy, you did it. I liked your presentation. I just want to let you know that. I learned a lot myself, especially about how Google works. And also, I've always shared with people that if you can learn to write, copywriting, at least even small skills of it, you don't have to be an expert. It's one of the greatest tools that you can have for your business.
Absolutely. And if you don't have someone to review your content for one reason or another, and I am happy to review content, so don't worry about that. You can also go to a website like Grammarly, where
Yes.
you can take your content, put it in there, and they will actually give you a critique and say, we don't want to split that infinitive. Let's rewrite this sentence to get that preposition out of the last place before the period, and things of that nature, so that your communication becomes more straightforward. The more you practice, the better you get.
Kathy,
Yes.
I don't have a question, but it just reminds me of a post that I did on my business page. I'm actually looking at it right now, and reached over 1,000 people within a very short time, and had all types of shares. And all it is just a cake. And of course, I'm delivering this cake. And I'm talking about what's in this cake. Like, let me tell you about this cake. And I'm using words like naked cake and and just like those words of like naked cake, what does that mean? Now, I want to know what a naked cake is.
Right.
Naked cake. And so in so many ways, it's a teaching moment. But of course, the image is always so important. So I do, that is one of the recommendations that we normally have within our small businesses, is that, talk from your heart, talk about things, talk about the things that you're passionate about. What are you, what part of your business are you passionate about? Is it because you love to see how excited kids get when they come with their parents to buy candy? Or is it the excitement that you get because you got a deal on a certain product? Or is it that your niece and your granddaughter get to work in your business, and it fulfills the dream that you've had for so long? And what is it that you're passionate about with your business? And so I think that it's okay to be personal, because that's what makes you stand out. That's what helps you to engage with other business, with your customers, is that you're passionate about what you do, and you're the neighborhood business, right? You're part of the community. And so I just wanted, that's all I wanted to share with you. We also, here at the Beaverton, we have a team of consultants that's available for you and for everyone in the Washington County area for any consulting that you may need for your business. If you need help writing, we can help you with that as well. And we will continue to learn with you, Kathy. We're very excited about this. And I learned a lot. And I definitely like the first photo of the wonderful, that slide. I would want to have that on my screen too. So I think that we are very excited to be learning with you, Kathy. And we're so grateful for the collaboration that we have to team with the entire Tualatin area. Do you want to tell us about all the different areas that the Tualatin Business Recovery Center serves?
Certainly. Emma, thank you so much. And your points are right on target. I am so tickled you brought those out. The Tualatin office, and I'm in the Tualatin Chamber of Commerce, serves the South Metro area. So it's Tigard, Tualatin, Wilsonville, Sherwood, and all the unincorporated areas that are in between those cities. We also serve Durham as well. So I'm happy to help anybody on that end of the county. I'm also happy to help anybody anywhere in the county because our BRCs, there are 4 of them, Emma's in Beaverton. We also have offices in Hillsborough and Forest Grove. So you are welcome to go to any of our 4 centers or contact us for a phone talk or a Zoom interview. We're happy to help. Okay. And I'll point something out to just play on Emma's statement there about the naked cake, which I think is hilarious. That was a bit of brilliance on your part. That was wonderful. When I worked for CPA Excel, I, of course, had been building content for quite some time. Where this came in handy was that obviously I was seen as an expert in what I was doing. But one morning I came in and found on the Facebook page a short note from one of the ladies who was very active on the page. It probably was written through tears at 2 or 3 in the morning. She couldn't get to sleep. Her 3-year-old son kept interrupting her. And after she'd put him to bed and she needed to study for the exam, she couldn't study because he kept coming in asking for a glass of water, asking for a light to be turned on, telling her that his fingernails hurt. You know, if you've ever raised a child and they haven't wanted to go to bed, he gave her every excuse. So here she was facing an exam date coming up. She couldn't study, her sleep was interrupted, and she didn't know what to do. I immediately responded to her in person, immediately responded publicly to her. And I said, hang in there. I'm going to direct message you. I've got a solution. So anybody coming to the page knew that I was stepping out of my role as a social media writer to actually help this woman through this crisis. I DM'd her and I said, look, I've raised 2 kids. Mine are a whole lot taller than your 3-year-old, but here's what I'm going to suggest. I want you to sit him down and say, look, I know that you have spelling tests, but I'm studying right now for the meanest, ugliest spelling test you can ever imagine. It's called the CPA exam. But when I pass it, I'm going to get a job where I make more money. When I make more money, I can buy you more toys. He was silent for a few minutes, and he calculated, and a little smile drifted across his face. Well, that night after his bath, he grabbed her hand, dragged her down the hall to his bedroom, and said, come on, Mommy, let's go read CPA exam. So she read to him from her taxation book. He was asleep within 2 pages and snoring like a lumberjack. He didn't disturb her all night. She was able to study. And a couple of days later, she posted on the Facebook page publicly that this had worked like a charm. She was so grateful. Other parents immediately chimed in, hey, what's the secret? And she asked me if she could share. As a result, she did share what I had actually told her. Other parents not only liked the page, but ended up buying from us because they could see that we would actually answer their questions that didn't really have anything to do with the CPA exam or selling our products, but that we would help. She commented later that she had posted this same tear-stained request on our other 12 competitors, and at the same time as she posted on ours, I was the only one to respond. And because of that, she became a loyal customer and one of our evangelists, telling all of her friends, oh, you've got to use CPA Excel. So it was a wonderful situation where I was able to help her build a relationship, and that eventually benefited the company. So that's what you can do with social media.
Wow, what a wonderful story, Kathy. Thank you. Well, I think we will end. If anybody has any further questions, you guys are all welcome to send us an email. Kathy's information is, I believe it's still on the screen, correct, Kathy? Oh,
I
no.
actually took it down so we could see you
Oh.
and your beautiful smile.
Oh, Lord. So it's, yes, otherwise, we'll see. My email is on the chat. It's emma@beaverton.org. And if you guys have any further questions, we will also share this presentation on our YouTube channel, as well as our BRC page. Any other resources that you guys are looking for your business, just let us know. Between Kathy and between the Tualatin Chamber, the Tualatin BRC Business Recovery Center, and the Beaverton Recovery Center, and the Hillsborough Recovery Center, and the Forest Grove Recovery Center, we're able to cover the entire Washington County area for any resources that you may need. We're still taking applications for anybody that needs free PPE, personal protection equipment for your business, for your staff, for your employees, and also for your customers. Any grants that are upcoming and you need any support with that, we're also here to help you with that as well. We have an array of other services as well, accounting, and currently we have legal services available to you. So if you're needing help with a business contract or lease review, we have, as of yesterday, we have partnered up with the Small Business Legal Clinic. So we're able to offer you those services in a timely manner, and also for free to you. These services are available until November. Any other update, Kathy, that you can think of?
Well, October 14th is going to be our next class. It's what you need to know before you see a web designer or before you design your own website. So it's tips and tricks, how to understand terminology that's used in website design, and what the best practices are. I look forward to teaching it.
Again, if you have any questions, we're here for you. Until then, we'll see you October 14th. I hope you guys are all safe, and everybody have a great morning. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Kathy, also for your collaboration and just amazing presentation. We look forward to learning more with you.